You've had a little bit of success in your real estate wholesaling business and you've got some money in the bank. So the question is, when is a good time to scale? Hi, I'm Jamil Damji, the co-founder of Keegly and AstroFlipping, the nation's largest and most successful community of wholesalers. And today we're going to dive into a topic that I get asked all the time. Jamil, I've just completed a few deals. I've got $30,000, $40,000 in the bank, and I want to build my business. I want to scale. I want to start hiring people. I want to know which person do I hire? Do I hire an acquisitions representative? Do I hire a dispositions representative? Do I hire somebody to help me with comping? What do I do? Where should I hire them from? Should they be local? Should they be virtual? All of these questions are going to be answered in this video. Now, what I do every Sunday with my AstroFlipping community members is I do a theory call where I dive into a topic. Sometimes it's mindset related and sometimes it's business related. And I get real deep into the knowledge that I've gained in the experience in the years of wholesaling that I've done in America. Now, because scaling is really, really dangerous, and I mean that, you really have to understand and ask yourself the question, do I really want this? A lot of wholesalers who build small businesses are actually more profitable because they're more nimble. They can adjust to market fluctuations and conditions a lot quicker. They don't have expensive offices and overhead to take care of. And so their monthly take home is actually pretty dang good. But once you start building and scaling a business, you are responsible for other human beings. You're responsible for training them. And on top of that, you still got to remain productive and you still have to make sure that all the operations are taken care of and that at a high level, your business is succeeding. Here's the kicker. A lot of times when we hire folks, we think that they're going to come in with the same type of skills and knowledge that we have, yet it's not the case. And quite often when you hire somebody, we're hoping that they're going to have the same drive and the same energy towards the work that we want them to accomplish. But let's face it, you've been an employee before. Did you do your best all the time? Or did you dial it in sometimes? And these are some of the many, many nuances that happen when you are trying to scale a business. So let's dive into it. Now, we'll begin this call the way we would any other call, and that's with a prayer. And the reason for that is I truly believe that anything and everything we want or need in our life will find its way to us through Source when we ask and take steps towards it. If this makes you uncomfortable, mute me for the next 30 seconds. But if you'd like to join us, here we go. Father God, we love you so much, Lord. Thank you for today. Thank you for opening all of our eyes and giving us breath, for giving us the minds to connect and communicate with each other. God, we are so grateful for that. Lord, we ask that you guide each of us to your purpose for our lives, so that the steps we take are your steps, the words we speak, your words, the actions we take, your actions. God, we ask that you guys guide us to those individuals that will be of benefit to us, either through financial gain or a lesson that we need to learn. And we also ask that you deflect us from those individuals that would waste our time or bring us harm. Lord, for any of our family members here that are in need of any additional understanding of the concepts that we teach, we just pray for perfect clarity in our minds. And for any of us suffering through any physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual pain, we just pray for perfect healing in our lives. And Lord, it is with humble hearts, and in your heavenly name we pray. Amen. All right. So a little bit of a divergence today on the theory topic. As you guys typically know, I like to dive into mindset-related conversations on these Sunday calls. But let's just be honest, right? I'm kind of going through it right now. So it's a little bit difficult for me to dive into a topic that's not going to have me just bursting out into tears. And so for your sake and mine as well, I wanted to dive into a topic that we get asked a lot by many community members who are seeing success, but now wanting to understand when it's time to scale, right? What should I do next? I've made some money. I've got, $30,000, $40,000 in the bank. I've got some deals under my belt. I've made some solid connections. When do I start hiring? When can I stop having to do this myself? When can I scale, right? And there's usually a really good reason why you're thinking about scaling. One of those things will probably be that you've gotten some success. So you've proven concept, you know wholesaling works, you've actually received wires in your bank account, and that felt really good. And you're probably sitting on more money than you've ever seen in your bank ever. How do I know this? Because it happened to me, and it's happened to many of you. And so when you're sitting there staring at that really nice looking balance in your bank account, you're wondering to yourself, well, what's next? What do I do? Because let's face it, right? When we're working and doing what we do here in wholesale, it is a grind. There is no way outside of that, right? It is always going to be work. Anything that you do in life that has tremendous or can create tremendous amount of value for you will require you to do something valuable. That's just how life and business works. And you do create a tremendous amount of value in the marketplace because what you're providing to your cash buyers and what you're providing to real estate agents or to the sellers that you're dealing with is a solution. And that solution will typically net you an average across the United States between $10,000 and $15,000 per transaction, which is just incredible. What a beautiful gift we have being able to do this business. But, and there's always a but, you're tired. You've worked your fingers to the bone. You have had so many conversations, so many late nights. You've got a significant other who's like, where are you? How come we don't spend any time together? All you're doing is working on your business. Your kids maybe, unless you're Juan, who has brought his children with him. Thank you, Juan. Love to see the kiddies. But you've got time that you want to spend with your kids, and maybe that's starting to get a little bit constrained because this business does take resources. It takes your time and it takes your attention. There is no doubt of that. So first, we want to understand what specifically you're wanting to increase, right? What in your business do you feel you are ready for in terms of scale? And what the desired result is, right? And I'd say that all of us would probably say that, well, if we're looking at wanting to do more deals, the reason we want to do more deals is because we want to make more money. I think we can all agree that that's probably the reason you're looking at scale. The second thing that you're probably looking at is increasing your time freedom. So decreasing the amount that you're having to do in the business, either through outreach, comping, dispo, whatever specialization that you've made your specific niche. So let's look at the scaling of your wholesale business. First, we want to see what are the ways that we make money, right? So you guys take some notes on this because I'm sure that if you're not at that stage right now, if you haven't yet done, multiple deals, you will get there. If you don't give up, you will get there. There is no doubt that if you continue to persevere and you continue to do the work, continue to do the outreach, continue to do the follow-ups, your success in this business is guaranteed if you don't quit. But it is up to you to make it through that wall. You've got to make sure that you don't give up before you reach gold. That is a meme that we've seen circulate the internet, and it's that those little gold miners that are just inches away from hitting pay dirt, and right then is when they turn around and decide it's too hard, it's too difficult, it's not for me, it's somebody else. I never win, somebody else always wins, nobody likes me, I'm the only person in the community that has no friends, blah blah blah. Whatever it is that you're saying to yourself that's giving you the out is the out that you're using. Okay, that's what it is. So we want to understand, first and foremost, how do we make money in our business? Well, pretty simple. We know that we either are going to be sourcing more deals, so we want to increase our acquisitions, right? That's one way. So we want to be doing more business. And the other way is you could increase the number of deals you sell. So you could be scaling or doing work on the dispo side of your business. And it's up to you to make a decision on which of those two you're looking to scale. I would not recommend trying to accomplish both at the same time because that will absolutely lead to disaster if you are not very, very good at organizing your time, if you are not very good at organizing your output and making sure that you're tracking things. So I would say that if you are on the verge or thinking about making a hire and scaling your business, you want to make a decision on where you're looking to scale first. So if we look at it from the acquisition side, right? Let's unpack the acquisition side. So if you are wanting to increase the number of deals that you're doing, you're going to be looking at increasing your outreach, right? There's no ways around it. If you want to do more business, you want to lock up more contracts, you're going to need to talk to more people. And what I would suggest you do is look at the way that you're doing outreach. So right now, if you're doing outreach using calling, if you're doing agent outreach and you're hand dialing, there may be an opportunity to increase your efficiency by plugging a dialer into your situation so that you can increase the number of dials that you're doing through the day. You may not necessarily need to hire somebody to do that. A dialer is an inexpensive tool, and there's so many of them out there. Batch dialer is one that integrates nicely with batch, and so you guys can always use that. And I have codes for discounts if you need them, but whatever. You can also look at Mojo. You could look at Vulcan 7. There's so many other options for a dialer, and I just suggest you use the one that's most suited to the way you operate. So if you're a really technical person and you like walking into these softwares and learning all about them, you can get onto a dialer that's more complicated, like Zentel, right? That's a 10-line dialer where it'll actually ring 10 numbers at the same time so that you literally have no downtime when you're on that dialer. It's just beeping and it's another person. It beeps and it's another person. It beeps and it's another person. And it can get really, really, really overwhelming. But if you're good at that and you can handle that kind of volume, you may decide to do a 10-line dialer like Zentel. You may decide, hey, that's too much and I'm not really interested in being a robot. I'd like to have a couple of breaths between calls and, take a sip of water or pace around my office, whatever it is. You may go to a 3-line dialer, or you might use a 5-line dialer, which is somewhere in the middle. Personally, I love the batch dialer. It's a 3-line dialer. It works very well, and cost-wise, it's comparative to Mojo. And when you mix it or you stack it with other batch products, you get discounts. And so that is, or could possibly be, an option for you. The other way that you would look at that is you'd say, okay, if I'm doing hand dials, or if I'm calling, maybe you're not calling, maybe you're sending text messages, right? So if you're doing your initial outreach with agents through text message, you might want to look at adding an automation to that instead of, or before you go and hire somebody. And there's, again, many automations out there. I'm affiliated with one of them. AstroBlaster is my favorite, and I'm biased, so take that with a grain of salt. But there's also other options and tools for you to use out there as well. You don't necessarily have to use AstroBlaster. You could use Go High Level. There's a few other variations of that type of platform that you can use. And typically that's going to probably cost you around $1,000 a year, right? Maybe a little bit more. But again, when you look at how much it costs to hire a person at $20 an hour, using an automation to increase your output, much more cost efficient than hiring another body. Okay, so you can increase your outreach by using an automated tool. The other thing that you'd want to be looking at is your follow-ups, right? So how are you tracking and managing your follow-ups? We all know that this business doesn't happen on the first call. You're not likely to get a deal from a real estate agent doing agent outreach the first time you reach out to them. It's not how it works. The average is 8 to 13 touches, 8 to 13 follow-ups with a real estate agent before they will produce an off-market deal. On the other side of that, when you're doing MLS offers, those are people that are already available, or houses that are already available to sell, but your follow-ups now are on pricing, right? Because you're probably going to start at a price that's not going to be the advertised price. It's probably going to be significantly lower than the listed price. And it's going to take you time to continue to follow up with that real estate agent, to keep checking in, to gauge the motivation of the seller so that timing wise, you're ready when the seller is ready to take a reduced price. And many people who have lost deals will tell you there is no more frustrating feeling than chasing a deal, following up with an agent only to miss 1 week, to then see the deal go under contract and sell and close at a price lower than what you were originally trying to get it locked up at. And it happens, and it happens a lot. And that is probably one of the most frustrating things that we can see, because that's completely our fault. It's completely our fault for not following up, for not being there when the seller was ready, and for believing that it's the real estate agent's job to remember you. My friends, they won't. They won't. It requires you to have an extremely strong relationship with a real estate agent for you to be top of mind when they are actually ready to take your price, or to be top of mind when they have an off-market opportunity that might fit the kind of property that we're looking for here in our business model. This is the reason why following up with real estate agents every couple of weeks until that relationship is very strong is going to be necessary. Now, again, I don't need to follow up with Monique every day. Monique sends me properties every single day. I send her buy prices for those properties every single day, and we average 2 deals a week. That relationship is strong, though, extremely strong. If other wholesalers, and believe me, many have tried, I've put Monique on Wholesale Hotline, I've put her on my YouTube channel, and it is hilarious how many people will text Monique saying, hey, would you like to try someone other than Jamil? And it's great, because she always screenshots me those text messages, and she's like, do you know who this person is? Do you know who this person is? Do you know who this person? Some of the people that text her are in this community. I'm not mad at you. I think that's great. You should be trying. If I screw up and that relationship weakens for any reason, I am not repairing that, and somebody slides in and gets a deal with Monique and figure it out, amazing. It just makes me better, and it shows me that I'm needing to do more work on that relationship, right? So those relationships and those follow-ups are things that you need to have organized. So looking at your follow-up, maybe you need to add a CRM into your business. If right now the way that you're organizing your follow-ups is by hand notes, or you're using an agenda, or you're using paper, it can be very, very hard to remember who you're supposed to follow up with if you're not organized and doing it in a method or in a fashion that has structure. That structure is extremely important for you to be able to repeat the follow-up process and to track. Because again, remember, if you're over following up with a real estate agent, you run the risk of becoming annoying and getting blocked. And if you under follow up with a real estate agent, you run the risk of missing the opportunity and not getting the deal. So there's a delicate balance that you have to feel out. And unfortunately, there's no one answer for every real estate agent. It works that every person, believe it or not, is unique. Did you think? So every person is going to have a different threshold, a different number of contacts that they'll appreciate before it becomes too much. Okay, so you may not need to hire somebody, you might just need to get more organized. So look at your follow-ups, look at how often you're missing following up with the real estate agents, how often you are over following up with real estate agents because maybe you don't have a large enough list, or maybe you're not working in a large enough city with enough agents to follow up, or maybe you didn't do enough offers to have enough follow-ups to make. And that would then tell you about your initial KPI, which was how many offers are you putting out a day, right? Are you doing 5 on-market offers? Are you doing 10 on-market offers a day? Are you doing 1 on-market offer a week? Like, you got to look at that, and you got to say realistically and honestly, and when you're looking at your results, how many offers have I put out this week? How many am I then following up with from offers that I made last week? And those have to be tracked. If you plan to monetize it, you have to track it. So adding a CRM could be a great alternative to hiring another person. Now, what I want you to understand is every person you hire, yourself included, has a maximum output capacity. Okay, people have a maximum output capacity. It's just, we only have so many hours in a day. We only have so much energy in a day. We only have so much time in the day that we can actually do the work that we do. I don't think real estate agents are going to appreciate you texting them at 2:30 in the morning, seeing if they have anything off market that you can see before they put it on the MLS. That would be a very, very rude message to receive at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So there's only certain business hours that you can work in. So understanding that a human being will have a maximum capacity is one of the reasons why hiring may not be the efficiency that you need right now to increase profitability or to increase revenue. Okay, because again, there's only so much a person can do. Now, one of the larger mistakes that I see get made is you make 50 grand. You can afford to hire somebody. You know you want them to do acquisitions, and so you bring somebody on. Yet you have not completely documented what that person is going to do every single day of the week. And when I mean documented, I mean document through video, document through form, document through process, giving them an infrastructure that you can literally send to somebody that's new, have them watch and complete, and by the end of that training, know what their job is and exactly what they're supposed to be doing 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. If you have not documented the process that you're hiring for, don't hire for it. You're not ready. Imagine how much money you'll be burning going through the process of figuring it out. So, one more time, if you have not yet documented the process for which you're hiring, don't hire. You're not ready. The other part about it is that when you do hire somebody and you do want them to be trained, you can't stop doing what you're doing. This is another major pitfall that people who are scaling fall into. They'll say, okay, I'm hiring for acquisitions. You hire somebody. You think you've trained them. They say they feel trained. They're making the calls, and you think that it should be working out. They're just taking their time to build up their pipeline and taking time to build up their follow-ups. All of that could be real. But if you take your foot off of that marketing channel, if you stop doing that, 9.9 out of 10 times what you're going to find is nothing got done. Unless you hire a rock star right out the gate, which is very rare. Rock stars are trained, they're molded, they're made. They're not just hired. Doesn't work that easily. It's not like that in real life. So you're going to need to train this person to put the output out that you're looking for. You're going to need to train them to make sure they're staying organized. You're going to need to train them to make sure they understand the value of the follow-up. You're going to need to train them to understand what their day-to-day tasks are without having to be reliant on you every time they find an obstacle, which is one of the most disruptive things that happens during the process of hiring. Is when you're doing the job, they're doing the job, they come up to an obstacle, they go full stop, they now make you go full stop. You have to go in and show them how to overcome one small little obstacle. They then got to get ramped up again. You got to get ramped up again, only to be stopped when the next obstacle appears, which will completely take the wind out of your sails. Again, that's why documenting, recording the process of what you're hiring for is of uber importance before you make that hire. Let's unpack a little bit now the acquisition sides of scaling. Okay, so we know that there's specific channels that we, at least here in this community, use to do business, right? You guys know that I prefer and I lean into the relationship side of either acquisitions or dispositions over the transactional side of it, because A, costs significantly less money, but B, I'm kind of lazy. And I'd rather make a relationship and create all of that talking and learning about each other and conversation, and have to do that one time with a person and build that relationship up to a point where now we can do repeat business together, rather than having to go and recreate a brand new relationship, build rapport, establish trust, get the deal, only for the deal to complete, to then never do another transaction with that individual again. That's direct to seller. On the other side of that, though, we know that direct to seller deals will give you significantly higher profits. There is no way around that. You want the $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 wholesale fees, you're likely going to need to go direct to seller to get that deal. Not that you won't hit home runs working with agents. I've done it many times. I've also done over 7,000 deals, right? So the numbers are on my side. On the other side of that, if you're looking at increasing the acquisition side of it, you got to look at what marketing channels are you using and which are relationship based and which are transactional. So I'll give them to you so you have them top of mind. We do a substantial amount of deals in this community and in my own office using MLS, using the MLS and writing MLS offers, right? So many of us are using MLS and establishing deals using MLS offers. The second relational strategy that we use is agent outreach. The third relational strategy that we use is JV, right? So what I would say before you hire somebody, look at the business that you're doing right now and see what relationships could be strengthened. Before you go and hire somebody, see if you can do more business with the people you're already doing business with before you go decide that you need more customers or that you need more contracts on your team right now. That might not be what you need. You might need to just strengthen the relationships that you're already working on so that you can continue to do more business with that specific person. Again, for example, if we're looking at real estate agents, how much more effort does it take me to go out and teach or groom new agents to do the job that Monique does with me? Her and I primarily do probate leads together, right? So how much more effort would it take for me to go and find 3 or 4 Monique Walkers and train them all how to do the same thing, and only for, let's say, 3 out of 4 of them to stop working or to find some other thing that they're wanting to do, to only have 1 person left, where I now have taken my eyes and my attention off of the relationship that's feeding me. So again, one of the most common mistakes that we make when we're scaling is we look at the things that are working and we say, okay, it's working. And then what do? We take our attention off of it. We take our attention off of it to go do something else, only to find when we come back and put our attention on this thing again, it's all a bloody mess. Everything's all over the place. Podio is completely messed up. We haven't spoken to some of these agents in months. Some of these agents we're talking to daily. It's just completely all over the place. There is no structure. There is no order. Right? So before you go and hire somebody, or before you decide you want to open another market, which I hear on this call quite often, somebody will come in and say, hey man, I'm in this market, but I want to do more. I want to add another market. Well, rather than adding another market, how can you make what you're doing in your market more impactful? You will do way more business being the person that is the go-to person in a specific state or county or regional area by doing better work there, rather than having to go and earn a new customer. I promise you. For instance, I've got buyers that I do multiple deals with that refuse to work with other wholesalers. They'll only work with me. If another wholesaler sends them a deal, they will send me the deal, work me into the deal, just to make sure that I help them navigate the process so that they don't get ripped off. Imagine that. Imagine somebody coming to you and bringing you business. A minimum of $5,000 is what I'll do on a deal like that. Minimum I'll make on a deal like that is $5,000. And it's another wholesaler's deal, and this guy wants to buy it. He could go directly to that wholesaler, but he inserts me into the equation because he knows that I'm trustworthy enough to make sure that there's not going to be any shenanigans, and that I'm well versed in the processes enough that if something is going to come back to bite him in the butt, that I'll take care of him and make sure that he's not doing something that is ultimately going to be harmful to him or his business or his profit margins. He also trusts my eyes. He trusts my valuations, right? And so when he's getting an opinion of ARV, who better to ask than me, in his opinion, right? And so he'll come to me and vet just to make sure that whatever deal he's looking at, that he wants to pull the trigger on, even if the deal doesn't come from me, that I agree with the ARV. So this is where wholesalers get it wrong sometimes. You want your buyers, and you kind of get a little weird when they start working with other wholesalers, and instead of being useful in those circumstances, you start to say things that are ultimately going to come back and bite you in the butt, like disparaging another wholesaler, or commenting on their numbers, or commenting on their profit margins, or whatever it is, because you want to retain that customer, will always come off disingenuous. It always will. When you are talking negatively about your competition, when you are being, and I want to word this correctly, because I never assume that any of us are being jealous, right? Like that's not what I'm trying to say, but when we are getting a little territorial, let's call it, when we're getting a little territorial, we will try the scorched earth method, where we make our competition the bad guy, and we're the only person in the entire county that does good business. Come on, right? That's not true. And so saying things like that, or making people feel that you believe that, will only make that person believe you're delusional. And they'll also say that you're not thinking about them or their best interests, and that you'd only want to sell them your deal, and you don't want them to buy other people's deals because it means that you're not making money. So this is where the buyer's mind actually goes. They're not believing the things you're saying. They think this person doesn't play fair pool. That's what they think. So looking at the acquisition side of your business, you can see where if you put more energy, more time, more effort in the repeatable business channels, right? MLS offers, agent outreach, and JV deals, that those relationships will continue to pay dividends on and on and on and on and on if you build a relationship well. You may decide you want to add direct to seller into your marketing, which again, you guys have seen I've been doing slowly but surely. I do it in a very, very strategic manner, and I do it with very specialized lists, because I don't particularly enjoy getting cussed out by homeowners. It's not my favorite thing to do, right? I way rather talk to real estate agents, because they're professional, they understand. For the most part, it's like having a business-to-business conversation. Whereas when I'm going direct to homeowner, I don't know who I'm going to get on the other end of the line. And you guys probably saw those 2 days of cold calling that I did. Not as fun as when I'm calling agents. Those calls are completely different. Completely different. But they do work. They do work. And you will make money going direct to seller. It's just understand that those aren't going to be relationships. Those are going to be one-off deals. So you have to manage, and you have to make a decision, how much time are you going to put into adding another marketing channel in your business? So before you go and hire somebody, before you go and bring someone onto your team, look at what already established marketing channels you are using, and think about adding one. Just adding one. Documenting adding that one, making it as efficient as possible, and then reevaluating the necessity of having to make a hire after you've successfully accomplished that. You can also look at the disposition side of the business, right? So now we've looked at AC. What about dispo? You guys saw in the example that I and my business partners made on Keeglee, that if you want to build a scale business in wholesaling, the most efficient way to do it is through dispo, right? Why would that be? Well, the majority of the resources that we put into building our lists are not highly skilled jobs. So I can hire VAs, I can hire people who don't necessarily need to be talented at communication to be out there building my lists for me. And I can do that relatively inexpensively. The other aspect of that is, again, building relationships with my buyers that are so strong that my buyers will only work with me is a complete game changer for us at Keegley. Because again, being the largest in the city that does it, and the state, country for that matter, we have a brand. We have established relationships. People know to do business with us. They've already heard of us. But making sure that that relationship is strong is what's going to keep coming, having buyers keep coming to the trough to buy. So checking in with your buyers and seeing if there are any opportunities for you to continue to add value to them through the process. So many wholesalers will get a transaction done with a buyer and they don't hear from you again until you send out another deal. Well, what about checking on them? What about asking how things are going? What about asking about costs? What about if you see a comp close in the area that might do better for that buyer, calling them and giving them the good news? Hey, it looks like the ARV in your property might have just gone up $20,000. What a great deal. Making sure that you're continuing to check in. And then also after the fact, once the deal has been completed and you see that they've gone to list the property, actively remaining engaged with that customer until they sell the property is guaranteed to create a deeper relationship with you and that buyer. Here's the other part of that. When you are in communication with your buyer and you now know that they've completed their deal cycle, who is going to be top of mind when it's ready for them to buy the next deal? You. Because you've been in communication. And you may not have a deal under contract right now, but guess what? You've got a community of thousands of people, and I bet you somebody here does. So you could literally come to the community, find what order you need to be filled, fill that order, take it back, connect the dots, and get your check. So scaling through dispositions is, in my opinion, the fastest, most economical way to do more business and make more money in wholesale. Scaling in acquisitions is capped, it's limited. Scaling in dispositions can be unlimited. All right. Now it's who. Who do we hire first? I get this question a lot as well. Who's the first person that I should bring onto my team once I have made money, I have money in the bank, and I'm trying to increase the amount of business that we're doing? So first and foremost, identify the profit centers in your business. You guys want to write these things down as well. Identify the profit centers in your business. You want to identify the expenses in your business, and you want to identify the bottlenecks in your business, because this is what's going to tell you who to hire. The answer of who to hire is not going to be the same for all of us. It won't be, because we don't all have the same skills. Some of us are better at communicating. Some of us are better at systems and operations. Some of us are better at organization. You will know, or even underwriting, you will know where your key skills lie, and typically you want to hire for where there's bottlenecks in your business. So looking at what's happening right now in your business, I want everybody to do this because all of you, if you're doing work, have one. What is a bottleneck in your business right now? What is the main bottleneck in your business right now? And let's just do something. Let's everybody type it out. I know this is going to wreck the chat. Sorry, Yvette. But let's all, because I think after this timestamp anyways, it'll be too late for someone to get a question in. So if you just mark 12:50 now, then we'll know, and we don't have to go beyond that. But write down what that bottleneck is. Write down what that bottleneck is. I just want everybody to visually see how different it's going to be for all of us. Some of us are going to be comping. Some of it's going to be paperwork, transaction coordinating. Some of us, it's going to be team management if you're working with a larger team. Now, if you've identified the bottleneck in your business, you want to see, is there an efficiency that you can add to ease that bottleneck, or does that require another human being? If it requires another human being, can you get that person fractionally? So can you hire them part-time instead of full-time? Could you share that resource with another person? Say, for instance, there's a lot of people in here saying comping. Okay, well, we have obviously multiple people in the community here that have the need for better or faster comping. Couldn't it be, or wouldn't it be an incredible resource if somebody in this community was talented or loved comping to make themselves available at a cost to help with that? Or maybe there was an opportunity where you could hire that person fractionally, and maybe 5 people could share the costs of having that individual assist in comping. Remember, there was a moment when we were scaling Keeglee where I would literally be comping anywhere between 200 to 300 houses a day. That was my only job. I sat in a room and I comped houses. It was very sexy. It was not at all. It was terrible. But it was very profitable. Now, in identifying the profit centers in your business, and we'll talk about a few of them, right? Profit centers are going to be agent deals, MLS deals, JVs. Is there an opportunity for you to increase in one of those profit centers without having to go and hire someone new? Okay, let's open that up a little bit. Are you maximizing the value that you make on each one of your deals? Do you have a process where you have systemized renegotiations and implemented it into your business for every transaction that you're involved in? JVs included. I offer, whenever we do a JV deal with another wholesaler, we will always offer to pay for and use our inspector to go and do an inspection on a property to then create further value if there is an opportunity to, due to condition, which can increase both the acquisition wholesalers, as well as the overall profitability of the deal. And my JV wholesalers love it because they're not on the hook for the $300 on the inspection. I am. Right? So I pay the $300 that it costs to inspect a property, and I make a beautiful argument as to why this property needs to be reduced another $10,000. Now, here's the beautiful thing for the acquisition wholesalers. I pay all the costs for the inspection, but I split whatever reduction we got with the acquisition wholesaler 50-50. So I assist them and I train them on how to go about getting a better profit margin. So now look at this. I'm making more money on that deal without having to do another deal. How many deals right now in your pipeline could you increase the value on before you went and hired another person or had to do another deal? Let's say that you're specifically relying on JVs. Okay, let's say you're an acquisition superstar and you are relying on dispo wholesalers to sell all of your deals. Is there an opportunity for you to bring some of your dispositions in-house? Because we know that when we JV a deal, we lose 50% of the value. What if you sold even 2 of the deals that you do a month yourself? So does it make sense for you then to hire somebody or to maybe bring some of your dispo in-house? That's a question you've got to ask yourself. You've got to look at what other expenses you have in the business. Title and escrow. Have you negotiated favorable fees with your title company? Have you negotiated money from your title company for marketing? I get $5,000 a month, every single month, mailed to me from Fidelity Title. $5,000 a month, like clockwork. But my brand manager, who just met with Pace and I last week, he's taking that relationship that I have right now where I'm making $5,000 a month from my title company, and he's going to go leverage that to be $20,000 a month, but he's going to take it to a competing title company. So he's going to increase the value that I'm going to make on that relationship by leveraging that relationship to make me more money. Now, you're going to say, okay, well, I'm not Jamil. Why would a title company want to pay me? They absolutely want to pay you. If you're bringing them files, if you're bringing them opportunities, if you're bringing them connections, if you're telling people in the community about them and making active introductions, maybe you do a podcast with your escrow officer. Maybe you shoot content with that escrow officer just so that you can have that as your marketing expenses that they're paying for. Are you leveraging that title company to help you put on a monthly meetup? I put a meetup on at Keegley. It was every month, but recently we've moved it to quarterly just because of scheduling. But that meetup is 100% paid for by my title company. But in addition to paying for food and drinks and all the fun stuff, they rent my space from me to hold the event. So I get, again, additional revenue from my title company. And if you have an office space, maybe you use that for or towards your rent. Either way, if you are doing monthly or quarterly meetups with your title company, they will then invite their clients to attend those functions and events. And guess what that'll do for you? It'll increase your network. It'll increase the number of people that you get to do business with. And it just feeds itself and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So look at where you are spending money in your business right now and find out if there's ways for you to cut those expenses or have somebody else cover them. If you are emailing out properties on a list, any of you that are doing dispo are likely using something like Constant Contact or MailChimp or one of these email solutions. Did you know that by putting a simple banner on the bottom of your email blast, advertising a title company or advertising a hard money lender will make you thousands of dollars a month in revenue just for sending out the email? Just for sending out the email. So your hard money lender will mail you a check for $5,000 a month just to put the hard money lender's information on the bottom of your email blast. How cool is that? So we've identified our profit centers, we have identified our expenses, and we've identified our bottlenecks. Okay, now that we have all of that research done, this is when we hire somebody, guys. So I built this mountain up for you today to show you, to explain to you, to plead with you. You made money. I'm happy. I'm so happy you've got $30,000, $40,000 in the bank. It's so awesome. Maybe you got more. Maybe you're rich like Todrick. Who knows? But you've got all this money in the bank. Let's keep it there. Let's keep it there. Before we get ready to write checks, before we're just writing checks and hiring people and building our team, only for all of that to unravel itself, for you to be back at square one in a matter of months, having to rebuild, there's nothing more heartbreaking than this, okay? But you come into wholesaling, you do some business, you do a few deals, you make $50,000 bucks. You waste it all on trying to build a team and da 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 da. You get discouraged, and then you give up. That is heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking, because it's like we got to see the talent, we got to hear the talent, we got to watch you get there to walk off the stage. The 2 cardinal rules, and this will end this topic. Before we hire anyone, we make sure we have what? A documented process on what that person's going to be doing, so that we can hand it to them, so that when they start, they know what their job is. And it's not your job to tell them what their job is. And the second cardinal rule, guys, have 3 months of expenses. 3 months of expenses in the bank before you pull the trigger hiring anybody. 3 months. There is nothing worse than having people arrange their lives, quit their jobs, come work for you, only to find out that you didn't do the math right, and you got to let them go in 60 days or 30 days, or you're under the gun, and it's like, if we don't get a deal done here in the next 2 weeks, guys, you're all fired. What kind of culture do you think that's going to instill in your group? When you put people under pressure in a way where they feel like they could lose their job at any given moment because you haven't appropriately managed or accounted for how much it was going to cost to keep them there. 3 months of expenses in the bank. Okay. Was that helpful? Well, there you have it, guys. You know exactly now what to do if you're trying to scale your business. You know what questions to ask, but most importantly, you can now look at your business and see where you can cut expenses. See, quite often, if we want to be more profitable, we just got to look around at where we're leaving money on the table and then make sure that we are as optimized as possible before we take that step. If you guys are planning on scaling your business, send me a DM. I'd love to help you guys out. I have actually built the nation's largest wholesale operation, so I know a thing or two about it. Also, leave me a comment below, because I want to know what kind of videos you guys want to see. I've got so much knowledge in this brain of mine that is related to wholesale real estate, and I'd love to share it all with you guys. So leave me a comment, and also, if you didn't already, like this video because it helps me, and subscribe to this channel because you're a good person. Also, you're going to want to watch this video right now because it's pretty damn good.